And Ukraine has decided to cut off all diplomatic ties with Russia. That's the information that's just filtering in. Ukraine has called Russia's actions as invasion like Nazi Germany in the Second World War. Let me get you the latest developments that are taking place at this point of time. Ukraine has cut off relations with Russia. Ukraine claims more than 40 Ukrainian soldiers were killed. Ukraine has also said 10 civilians have been killed in the Russian attack. Ukraine claims that at least 50 Russian invaders, that's the terminology used, 50 Russian invaders have been killed. What has this resulted in? This has resulted in massive panic almost across Ukraine. There are long traffic jams, people desperate to get out of the capital, Kiev. They expect an attack on Kiev. Even in other towns and cities across Ukraine, there is panic buying. In Britain, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, has called for an emergency meeting of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries. Boris Johnson has also said he will speak to G7 leaders for the next course of action. Russia's actions, of course, have also been criticized by US President Joe Biden. There is widespread condemnation, but what will it lead to? Beyond this remains the big question. India Today, of course, has the biggest team of reporters on ground zero. I am reporting from Mariupol. Maria joins us from Kiev. We have Rajesh Pawar joining us from the battlefield. In fact, Rajesh and I have been traveling from Kharkiv to Mariupol to Kiev to various other regions in Ukraine over the past 1 week. We will get you ground realities. We have Lavina Tandon who will join us from London, Geeta Mohan from the national capital, and Rohit will join us from Washington, D.C. to give you a 360-degree perspective of not just the war on ground, but also the diplomatic war that is being fought. But I quickly want to cut across to Maria for the latest. Maria, in Kiev, what's the latest situation?
Yeah, hello. I'm still in the city center in Kiev, but not near the office of the president, because we were told by the police and the military in the streets not to the governmental quarters right now, so I had to move somewhere from that quarters, but I'm close to the city center. Just half an hour ago, 40 minutes to be exact, there was heard again a new strike, the sound of explosion in the city center. We heard only the sound, and the explosion was in Brovary. It's a city close to Kiev, kind of like several kilometers away from Kiev, where a lot of people live, like residential area, and people go to Kiev from Brovary for work usually. And there was a strike, and the media reports that the strike was also again on the object of military infrastructure. So that was the sound which we heard an hour ago, not hour, sorry, 40 minutes ago. So the information right now is warning are coming from the official bodies, officials here in Kiev for the residents, so that they would be patient and wait for the new updates. They also say that they ask.
If you can hear me, Maria, I'll interrupt you for a moment. I'll interrupt you for a moment. If our viewers can hear this, this is Mariupol. You hear a series. Hear this sound. Hear this sound. This is Mariupol. This sounds like very intense artillery pounding. This, in a way, could well be Grad multiple barrel rocket launchers going one after the other. Zoom, 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 zoom. That's the kind of sound that's coming from behind us at this point of time. Are these multiple barrel rocket launchers? Are these a series of artillery strikes that are taking place? We still do not know, but it's so close. It's so close where this is happening right now here in Mariupol. And Maria, the situation here also is leading to intense panic and intense panic buying. Are you also seeing that in Kiev? Here people want to leave, but the airport, we are told, has been bombed out. The railway station is shut. People are unable to leave by road. What's the situation in Kiev, Maria?
Yes, sorry, always changing my video to read the news because there are disturbing pictures of strikes of the smoke which can be seen over the Dnipro River in the city center, actually in the Podil area, and I'm trying to verify.
These are tanks and armored
from
carriers. This is quick movement that is taking place even as we speak, Maria. This is the view on the high street where I am in Mariupol at this point of time. Now, this is how close the battle is. This is the high street, and one after the other, you see military vehicles that are just going in towards the border right now. And swift movement. Civilian traffic stopped. Only military vehicles are crossing this place. And that was a tank on a tank. The situation is right now here, war zone, so to say. And this perhaps is an indication of what the situation is right now here in Mariupol and what the situation would be in the days and weeks ahead. Maria, stay with me for a moment. I also want to bring in India Today's Lavina Tandon for more on this as we report this story from ground zero. A lot of hope was, at least here in Ukraine, Lavina, that diplomacy would work, that countries like United States, United Kingdom, US, NATO allies, they will all be able to prevail upon Russia diplomatically to perhaps negotiate their way out of the situation. Is that still likely, Lavina?
Only in one situation, Gaurav, to just quickly bring you up to speed with a few facts, that Prime Minister was woken up at 4 a.m. with the news of invasion. He did the Cobra meeting and he will be addressing the nation before he addresses the parliament at 5 p.m. Now, it is at 5 p.m. that your answer to your question lies. And probably it will be diplomatic.
Lavina, give me a moment. I want to cut across to my colleague Rajesh Pawar joining us from Mariupol. Rajesh, there is firing happening where you are at this point of time. So these are images that we are getting to you from the front lines. This is where action is taking place even as we speak. This is barely 20 kilometers from where we are. Of course, signals are a little weak in that area, but we were reporting from this area where you have Ukrainian troops literally in trenches and Russian troops across barely 3 kilometers away, and you have artillery rounds that are going on, artillery pounding that is underway in that area. And we're reporting from ground zero on that story. Rajesh Pawar will get us more details in terms of action that is taking place on ground. But look around us, there is very quick movement that is taking place. That is quick movement is taking place of additional men and material towards the front lines even as we speak. I once again want to quickly bring into this conversation Lavina Tandon from London. So Lavina, the battle well and truly on at this point of time.
Actually, and the one country that can impact it in some way to stall it is UK. And I'll tell you why. Because it is London, which is the biggest place where, after Russia, the dirty money of Russia has been stashed. And only if that is attacked, so leading up to this crisis, Gaurav, 5 small Russian banks and 3 oligarchs were sanctioned. They were frozen, the assets were frozen, but that is not enough. And that is what the Prime Minister has been pulled for, that it is London, which is the money laundering capital of the world, where dirty money of Russia lies, and why nothing is being done about that. And that could have some impact on Putin. And the second thing is NATO. How far can NATO go to stand with Ukraine, despite the fact that they are not the members? But this will impact the entire region and possibly have global repercussion as well if this goes to full-scale invasion. Now, number 3, that 5 p.m. Boris Johnson will be addressing the parliament, where he's supposed to kind of unveil the second phase, which is the super sanction package. Now, he will be pulled on that as to whether it is a real impact sanction, because after all, just the Conservative Party has received to the amount of 2.3 billion towards donations for the party. So are we really, or UK is really going to lockstep and just follow the events and do the word game, or will it really lead the entire situation and impact what Putin is trying to do, which is stamp and seal the dirty money in London? Gaurav.
Will that actually happen on ground? Because what is it that Russian President Vladimir Putin has said? He addressed the nation. He said that he had ordered military operations. He'd ordered his army to carry out offensive operations to ensure that Ukraine is demilitarized. What does that indicate? Will Russian troops be soon marching into eastern Ukraine? At least there are some videos that have been put out that seem to indicate this. A multi-pronged offensive has taken place already. Maria reporting from Kiev that there were certain explosions that were heard on the outskirts of Kiev. Certain airports have been targeted, airfields have been targeted, air defense in Ukraine has been targeted, and that is actually classic war strategy, that you take down the enemy's or the adversary's ability to use his air force and take down his air defenses. Certain other vital assets, vital points, including ammunition depots and dumps, have been targeted, and subsequently we notice that Russian troops are preparing to come in. What we're also noticing is additional warlike stores are being sent to the front lines. I want to once again bring in Maria. Maria, has this led to a lot of panic on the streets of Kiev? Are people very keen, very eager to leave Kiev?
Yeah, right. Some of them are still living now, so it has been happening since morning. People with suitcases are going on the streets, sitting, putting their stuff in the cars and trying to leave. And all the world have seen these pictures of cars, of traffic jam, which is on the outskirts of Kiev. These are cars of people who are trying to flee, trying to go out of the city. So what the situation now here? In the streets, it's pretty calm for now in Kiev. A lot of military, actually, they told us not to film this because of safety measures, and that's understandable because now Ukraine is under attack of rockets, and they say that they target the places which are also put out in social media. And also one more information, so in total there were 7 Russian military aircraft which were put down by Ukrainian Air Force. So the claims of Putin about Ukrainian Air Force being defeated, they're true. Ukrainian Air Force.
Okay, and as Maria was just telling us, there's breaking news that's coming in. Ukraine has said 1 more Russian plane. So in all, total 7 Russian planes have been shot down, is what Ukraine has now said. So Russia initially was trying to suppress the enemy air defense or take down the adversary's air defenses. Russia targeted multiple air defense nodes of Ukraine, but Ukraine has just issued a statement saying 7 Russian aircraft and helicopters have now been taken down. Maria, is there clarity where all have these Russian aircraft and helicopters been taken down?
Yes, just right now as we speak, there is a picture which appeared online near Hostomel. This is the place where a military airport is situated, Ukrainian military aerodrome. And the official information is so that 3 military helicopters were taken down. And the picture shows these missiles of Ukrainian aircraft targeting these Russian helicopters. So as you see, that is a full-scale invasion to the territory of Ukraine. So the airstrikes are conducted on the peaceful grounds, on the grounds of Ukraine, on the military objects. Of course, the experts who are now monitoring the situation say that Russia's target is military objects, and they won't target peaceful quarters of cities because that's a too high price for them. We hope so, but nothing is clear for now. We see that airstrikes are being conducted more and more, and nothing is clear. But I should also tell about the situation with other Ukrainian troops. So there are some advances on other fronts. For example, Chernihiv, which is to the north of Kyiv. This direction is under control of Ukrainian army, so they defeated Russian artillery, which was attacking the border. Also, the same situation is near Kharkiv. We have heard the official information about the fact that the units combined out of people with no military experience, so the freshly drawn to the army people have combated 3 tanks near Kharkiv. So Ukrainian army sends and repels the Russian aggression as we see it for now. Back to you.
Interesting that you say that this appears to be a multi-pronged offensive that is currently taking place. Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, where we are in Donbass, at Donetsk and Luhansk in eastern Ukraine, and then from the north side, from the Belarus side, there is an offensive and air defenses. Russia is trying to take them down, and Ukraine firing back and destroying 7 helicopters and aircraft of the Russian Air Force. Now, what is it that the Russian President Vladimir Putin are saying, and Vladimir Zelensky, the President of Ukraine? Let me get you both sides of the story. Let me get you both the versions. Listen in.
For those who may be tempted to interfere in the events taking place from the outside, whoever tries to interfere with us, let alone create threats for our country, for our nation, must know that Russia's response will be immediate, and it will lead you to such consequences that you've never faced before in your history. We are prepared for any development. All the necessary decisions have been taken. I hope my call will be heard. We simply don't have any other choice to protect our people, and we'll have to use the only available choice that we will use today. The circumstances require immediate, resolute action. The People's Republics of the Donbass have requested assistance from Russia. In this regard, in line with Article 51.7 of the UN Charter, with the authorization of the Parliament of Russia, and in exercising the Treaty on Friendship and Mutual Assistance with the Donetsk People's Republics and Lugansk People's Republics, I've taken the decision to conduct a special military operation. Its purpose is to protect people who have been subject to abuse and genocide by the Kiev regime for 8 years. And to do this, we will strive to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, and also bring to justice those who have committed numerous bloody crimes against civilians, including citizens of the Russian Federation on the Donbass. What we're seeing is that the forces that led a coup d'etat in 2014 have captured power, and they've been preserving it through some declarative procedures. They don't want to see any peaceful resolution in the Donbass. For 8 years, long 8 years, we've done everything to address the situation through peaceful political forces. It's all been in vain. Now, as I said in my previous address, we cannot just sit idly by and watch the tragedy unfolding. We cannot just be patient. We had to stop that nightmare genocide against millions of people who pinned their hopes entirely on Russia, on us. These aspirations, the pain of the people, have been the key motive behind the decision to recognize the People's Republics in the Donbass. What should we highlight leading NATO countries have supported extreme nationalists and neo-Nazi pursuing their goals. And those forces in Ukraine will never forgive Crimeans for their free choice. And they will push for Crimea. And just like they did in the Donbass, they will push for a war there. Just like the Hitlerites' bands in Ukraine killed local people in World War II, and they also lay claims to some other Russian territories. The intelligence we receive is that a clash against these Nazi forces is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. They are biding their time.
We're all the citizens of the beautiful country, and we are fighting for our freedom. We're defending our freedom. Be prepared to protect your country on the squares of your cities and towns. We will relieve the sanctions of every citizen of Ukraine who is ready to protect and defend our country with weapons in their hands. Ukraine is defending and would not give its freedom, whatever they think in Moscow. For the Ukrainians, our independence and the right to live in our land in accordance with our will. Russia cowardly attacked our country early in the morning, very much like Nazi Germany did during the Second World War. As of today, our countries are on the different side of the world divide. Russian Federation is on the evil side, but a lot depends on the Russian people. The citizens of Russia will be choosing which path they are personally.
And news just coming in, the Indian Air Force has been put on standby. The Indian Air Force will prepare to evacuate Indian citizens who are currently in Ukraine. And there are a large number of Indian citizens who are currently stranded in Ukraine. There are about 20,000 Indian students and workers in the IT sector. Indian students who are studying medicine, not just in the capital Kiev, but also all around, whether it's in Odessa or in Kharkiv or in different other parts of Ukraine who are studying. Will they all be brought first to the capital Kiev and then evacuated to India? When will that window of opportunity be? Because as of now, there is a NOTAM or a notice to airmen that has been issued that there should be no flying. There is a no-fly zone across entire Ukraine. I quickly want to cut across to Executive Editor Shiv Arur, joining us for more on the story. Shiv, tell us more about the evacuation plan currently being worked on.
Gaurav, this is strictly a contingency plan at this point of time. The Air Force has told us that they are ready to, carry out any mission that the Indian government requires of them. As you rightly pointed out, it is in the realm of uncertainty at this point of time because airspace is closed. Some flights haven't, the second Air India flight couldn't even land to evacuate Indians. So there's a great deal of uncertainty over whether flights can actually land. But the Air Force, on its part, being a professional service, is already on standby. It's put its aircraft on standby, C-17s and others. So should the Indian government require an air evacuation, should in the next few hours or days the airspace become open in Ukraine, then the Air Force can react at very, very short notice and get aircraft into the air to go to Ukraine to bring back Indians. So that is the contingency plan right now. The Indian Air Force has had a lot of experience, even recently during the air evacuation from Afghanistan. The situation isn't as bad just yet. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad in Ukraine. But air bridges, international air bridges to bring Indians back, is par for the course as far as the Indian Air Force is concerned. And they have confirmed to me that they're very much prepared to carry out any missions that they're ordered to do by the Indian government. So they very much are on standby for short notice evacuation if required.
Shiv, when you look at the bigger picture of what's happening here in Ukraine, you know, I'm reporting from Mariupol, so I'll be able to tell our viewers about what's happening in the east. But across, the Russians seem to be moving to a plan, the systematic targeting of air defense assets of Ukraine, the targeting of various airfields, ammunition dumps, and overall, what does this indicate? This only is set to intensify in the days ahead, given that there is response, retaliation, air defense assets haven't been taken down completely, and that 7 Russian aircraft and helicopters have been shot down, Shiv.
You know, a great deal of, claims and counterclaims are exploding on both sides, Gaurav, and we are the only channel, that isn't taking many of these claims at face value. There are other channels that are, lapping up all these extravagant claims being made by both Ukraine and Russia and looking pretty foolish, if you ask me. But there's a reason why everyone's watching India today, and that's because, we're reporting the facts. War is too sensitive an issue, to have half-baked information out on, and that's the reason why you're on the ground as well. But you're right when you say things are moving to a script. The Russians have been extremely insistent to correct those calling this entire exercise an invasion. They say there are no boots on the ground. What is being conducted are standoff military strikes using missiles and air power on particular military sites. They're also emphasizing that no collateral damage is being seen on the ground, that they're being careful not to attack sites which are close to civilian establishments. But you've seen the Mariupol aircraft in flames, Gaurav, after it was bombed earlier today. Shelling has taken place. There's definitely a great deal of damage that has already happened. What President Putin's endgame is remains to be seen. Bringing Ukraine to the negotiating table, abandoning plans of joining the NATO. There are so many possibilities, but they are also extreme, and these are still early hours. Remember, there is an assessment that these are only the early days of what could be an extended conflict.
What appears to be an extended conflict, because as you can hear behind us, I mean, every little while you hear an explosion. At times you hear a volley of explosions. And Shiv, you wonder whether these are those grads that are going off or artillery guns going off in quick succession, one after the other. But certainly a massive intensification. Ukraine calls it an invasion. Russia calls it, of course, a military offensive to demilitarize Ukraine. But when you look at the military balance between the two countries, Shiv, odds appear to be very heavily stacked against Russia, against Ukraine at this stage. So explain this. How long can Ukraine actually stand up to Russia should other countries not intervene, Shiv? Give me a moment as I try and re-establish that link. Also news coming in that there has been some fresh firing or bombing that's been reported around Kiev. I quickly want to cut across to Maria joining us from Kiev. Maria, what more can you tell us? Reports of these fresh explosions that have been heard?
So yes, no sounds of explosion heard for now, but there are the surfacing of new pictures of fire and smoke over the region of Podil. This is a region close, a district close to the city center in Kiev. So we see the pictures with this fire, tail of smoke going all over above the Dnipro River. And for now, there were no official reports about what it is exactly. So we are yet to verify this information. What exactly is this? Was it a strike or any other type of bombing, of shelling, or other activity of the enemy? So for now, what we see now is again the reports about the fact that in total 7 aircraft of Russia were taken down by Ukrainian military, by Ukrainian air forces. We see these reports of battles going here and there over again. And the huge news of the recent past hours is that Ukraine has broke off diplomatic ties with Russia. So this is what is now discussed on social media. People are writing that should have been done previously, a long time ago, because the war has been going on for 8 years, and now it has reached its climax. So I can also show you what's going on with bomb shelters, which people are trying to prepare for possible new strikes. For example, this is the shelter which was opened just an hour ago. So the people living here opened this shelter and went to see if it is ready for the moment they need it. So I will show you quickly how it looks like. So I need to mention that this is one of the good ones. So this is the shelter. So sorry, there should be some light. So it used to work 2 hours ago, but no, I guess no light for now. Strange. But you see, there is the name in Ukrainian, it's called bomb shelter, and there is a huge place underneath the residential building. So sorry, I won't be able to show you because the light doesn't turn on, but that's not because of connections are bad or something went wrong with electricity in Kyiv. No, the connection is fine, everything is fine. So mobile operators are still working, and people are understanding that they need their food supplies to be ready for anything. They need shelters to be ready for anything, because you won't see the same situation as it is now in Kyiv. Just I guess 8 hours ago. 8 hours ago, nobody believed that this should happen, that this could happen, that the shelling of Ukraine all over, not only in Donbass, but also in other regions like Ivano-Frankivsk could happen. And we have also the information of casualties. One child was killed during the shelling of civil objects over the course of these 8 hours. So there are the reports going on about the fact how many casualties are there already. So I have now yet to clarify and to justify the information about numbers, but this news about one child who lost his or her life because of Russian bombing, it is already was verified by the defense ministry. So the situation now in Kyiv, it's still terrifying, but military also in the streets, but everything else is like several hours ago. Back to you.
Turenko is the journalist in Ukraine. Maria, you were showing us just a short while ago a sort of a bunker that appears to have been prepared, and while you were showing us, that basically reflects the ground situation. I'm Pooja Shali, I'm in the studio here. What I want to understand now, you are talking to us about a possible casualty of a child. What is the current status on the ground with regard to people? We saw people in distress, in panic, while there are explosions happening. What about women, children? What about supermarkets, essential items that they will now require? And there is so much uncertainty right now on the ground. What are you picking up about citizens around you? How are they preparing? Because these bunkers may not be readily available for many of them.
Yes, right. Hours ago in the city center where I'm now, a lot of people were running in the streets with shopping bags, going to the nearest grocery store to buy some grocery to stock on necessary things. A lot of people are still walking in the streets with bags of food and also supplies of water. So this what was happening hugely and massively, I guess, from 8 o'clock in the morning till an hour or so ago. Now it's 1
On with me,
PM.
because we are, as the world is watching what is unfolding in Ukraine, we're getting information that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to hold a meeting on the Ukraine crisis. We're going to get you developments on that. Remember, of course, the Indian government is very closely watching and tracking developments as Russia has declared a war. At this point, there are many Indian nationals who have to be now evacuated, many of them still stranded in Ukraine with the airspace that has been put on restrictions right now. And Prime Minister Modi is all set to be, in a short while, hold a meeting, and it will include, of course, the top of the government. It will have the defense minister, the home minister, and all important figures and ministers will be there in this meeting. In just a short while, I'm going to connect with our reporters on the ground. Finance Minister, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will also be participating in this meeting. This is an emergency meeting that has been called, and it will begin in just a short while. That Prime Minister Modi will be holding on how India needs to possibly react, which is already closely watching since today morning that the developments are unfolding. And as we stay with this big news, remember, for Ukraine, it was a morning that every citizen dreads. For Ukrainians, the nightmare is now actually a living reality. Remember, Russia is already at its eastern border, shelling in border areas, while Ukrainians in other cities are clearly in a war panic. It has dawned on them that the war is currently taking place in and around them. And of course, while that is taking place kilometers away, Indian nationals and Indian government is already giving out advisory. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to, in just a short while, hold an emergency meeting and will include the Defense Minister, the National Security Advisor, Finance Minister, Home Minister. All of them are now going to focus and strategize on how should the Indian government react. What should be the statement coming in from India? Remember, already the West, specifically Europe and the United States of America, has been sending out statements condemning specifically Russia in this conflict. Maria, I want to come back to you because you're on the ground at this point while the Indian government is all set to hold a crucial meeting. What is happening there on the ground in terms of the government? We know that the government had emergency meetings in Ukraine as well. The members of parliament had a discussion. But now that the war is at the door, what happens there in terms of the government by Ukraine? Maria, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. For a moment, I will be without video so that I could see the latest updates. So the latest updates from the Defense Ministry is that Ukrainians are strong and holding the positions in Zhytomyr Oblast. It's to the west of Kyiv. The border defense says that there was an attempt to cross the border from the Belarusian side, but the border control managed to repel this attack. So this is the latest update. Sorry for problems with video, but I'm still here. I'm still with you. So another information about latest updates. Also, we have reported, we talked already about the break of the diplomatic ties between Ukraine and Russia, and for now all the citizens are advised to stay home, not to flee the city, because this panic doesn't help, actually, which is really understandably. And we are here, as many Ukrainians are now sitting at home watching state television, state official resources of information and waiting for what comes next. So for now, the situation is really terrifying, strange, but nothing changed over the course of 2 hours, I guess. Yes, the only information updates are that these military helicopters were repelled near Hostomel airdrome. So for now, that's it.
Please, I request you to stay on and stay safe as well. Thank you for getting us that ground update. I'm also now joined by Rajesh Pawar. He's been constantly updating us, and that from Mariupol. Now, Rajesh, we could hear shelling explosions, and we could also see tanks that are speeding on the streets there in Mariupol. What is the ground status, specifically with regard to explosion sounds that are only getting louder, which means it's coming closer?
Look, Pooja, we had bombing of the Mariupol airport today morning. There were precision strikes, no noise of any aircraft in the vicinity. There were precision strikes carried out by Russian military. An hour back, there were 4 explosions very close to where I'm reporting right now. I'm in the city center of Mariupol, and these explosions most likely were from artillery shells, because we are just about 13 kilometers from the Russian-held territory right now, and any artillery fire in that area, you can hear it here. But these explosions looked really near, very close by. Streets are more or less empty in the center here, no people around. Not long queues outside ATM, people trying to withdraw money, and outside currency exchange shops. People want to buy as much euro and as much dollars as possible. And also a lot of people being seen carrying a lot of big bags, buying groceries from supermarkets. That is what is here as of now. Pooja.
Streets, panic buying there in Ukraine, specifically in Mariupol, where the explosions can be heard, tanks can be seen speeding on the street. I want to thank Maria and Rajesh. Stay safe. I'll come back to you shortly. Because remember, it's a morning that every citizen dreads. For Ukrainians, it's now a living reality, what would be a nightmare for others. Russia is at its eastern border, shelling right now as we speak, while Ukrainians have now realized there is a war at the door. Take a look at this ground report coming in.
The dawn of Thursday in Kiev was not a promising one. In the capital city of Ukraine, people woke up to the sounds of sirens. Nearly 850 kilometers away from the capital city in Luhansk, near the line of control in eastern Ukraine, long queues outside banks was the commonplace scenario this Thursday morning. The same was the case in Mariupol, in Donetsk region.
Куда, сын, на работе я одна? Куда мне бежать? Куди ховатися? Куди? Скажіть, будь ласка. Ой, Боже мой, Боже.
Ukraine is under martial law.
Военное положение. А что Паника, что? Паника?
Конечно, всем страшно.
Дети, куда детей девать?
страшно.
Куда прятаться?
Куда деваться надо?
Убежищ нету, ничего нету. Ровное место. Куда?
Телевизор. Свое жилье должны покидать. Что это такое?
More than 10 hours drive away from Mariupol in Kiev, there were long lines of traffic on the road.
A lot of military actually going here in the street. This is like the local defense unit and a lot of police and also National Guard. This is the metro station, central metro station, Krishchatek station, which was supposed to be used as a bomb shelter, but no need to use it for now.
Despite repeated calls by the Indian government, some Indian students are still stuck in Ukraine in the middle of this conflict.
Yes, you can see. We are standing in the queue from last 1 hour, maybe more. For the groceries. Yes. Already so much. We are even can't find the bread or something to do. Keeping the food and water for 4 or 3 days because our neighbors also said keep the food, water, everything ready. Maybe there will be blackout in the night.
Close to 500 kilometers from the capital city, smoke was seen over Kharkiv city and sounds of explosions were reported, much like what happened before dawn in Kiev. Instagram users shared videos of shelling in Ukraine on Thursday after Russian troops launched their anticipated attack. It's a war in Ukraine.
So it is clearly complete chaos and uncertainty for people in Ukraine. Now heading into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. India Today is the only Indian channel in the real war zone in Ukraine. So getting you verified, correct information, but after a very short break. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.